sources that might be helpful to them. Certain. I know so many people are, interested in other ways of being healthy and, other ways of eating today, which is so great, kind of looking back more at how our ancestors ate, a more natural way of being, which is, I think, going to really help improve the health of our whole nation. We got a little sidetracked for a long time, and I think we're coming back
a little sidetracked
into center focus about, using nature to help us stay healthy. As
Rosemary,
well as
we're going to have to wrap up.
Too.
Rosemary, we're going to have to wrap up the conversation. This is Josh Lane. We've been speaking with Rosemary Gladstar. This is Josh Lane in studio with my co-host Corey Oliver. We're going to take a short break, and we will be right back after these important messages.
Medical scientists worldwide are encouraging people to eat more fish. Most American diets are low in cold water fish that are abundant in important omega-3 oils. DHA and EPA are the vital components of fish oil that provide healthy benefits. Not only are they crucial for brain and vision development, they're very important for cardiovascular health. Carlson, America's leading Norwegian fish oil brand, specializes in both great-tasting soft gels that are easy to swallow and fish oil liquids that don't taste fishy. That's right, Carlson provides the most extensive line of fish oils to meet all your needs. You can take Carlson fish oils with confidence, for Carlson fish oils are tested for purity, potency, and freshness. Ask for Carlson Norwegian fish oils today. That's right, ask for Carlson Norwegian fish oils today.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health. I'm your host, Josh Lane. And with me today in studio is my co-host, the actor Corey Oliver. Hello, Corey.
Good morning.
Good morning. And my guest is one of the regular contributors to Here's to Your Health, the president and founder of Aloe Life, Karen Masterson-Cook. And Karen has been selling and bottling and working with Aloe Life since 1991, making her company Aloe Life really one of the original excellent brands of aloe. Aloe being a very important medicinal herb and really pretty popular in American society. Karen, thanks for calling in tonight. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's great to be with you and Corey and the rest of your listeners. It's so important because disease is on the rise, as I'm sure you share with your listeners every day.
Right. Unfortunately, yes. Americans, we need to be a healthier company. We need to be a healthier country. And one of the ways that we can be healthier, of course, is, how we eat. And people are starting to realize that food is very important. And herbs like aloe, is aloe the most popular medicinal herb available?
It actually is right up there in the top 5 most widely used medicinal herbs, right along with turmeric and curcumin and greens and flax. And all of them happen to be very anti-inflammatory. As I'm sure you do programs, and I'm a clinical nutritionist, so I work in health along with developing the line of Aloe Life products over the years. And, all of our major diseases are linked to inflammatory conditions in the body. It's disastrous to the digestive system. It's disastrous to the joints for arthritis. It causes skin conditions, even schizophrenia. So bowel disease, right on up to diabetes. And many people are unaware that blood sugar challenges, especially high blood sugar, as with diabetes, which is epidemic, is an inflammatory disease. Isn't that interesting?
Yes, it is actually pretty interesting. Now, you have a number of books and pamphlets out, and I read your book, and you also do feel that aloe can be very helpful in conditions of diabetes, and that's actually, that's important.
It is. It's in the top 4 diseases that kill people, and we're experiencing globally an epidemic of diabetes on this planet, and in the U.S., right now there's about 29 million people, half of them diagnosed, but so many people are living with lives that are very lacking, poor fatigue, skin conditions that they can't seem to find a remedy for, numbness in their limbs, just really falling short of their potential in this world because they actually have prediabetes and they don't know it. So, again, it's very important to get the word out that definitely nutrition makes a big difference. We're one big integrated circuit, kind of like a big cell phone that runs on food, and people are eating terribly. They are eating too many devitalized foods, junk foods, and not feeding the body. And diabetes is all about glandular health. And the great message that I bring today as a health educator, friends, is that aloe has been an answer for all of these ailments that people suffer. It's very foundational and comes with its own natural anti-inflammatory. So it's really the go-to for any kind of blood sugar issues, especially high blood sugar. And more research. I mean, I think both of you will be, and all of you listening will be very impressed to know that because it's an expensive disease. I mean, when you're paying out of pocket for, your different insulins and glycogen products that help the liver, it's really all about getting your glands healthier, but they're expensive chemicals, pharmaceutical drugs, and our country can't afford it either. So more and more research is showing that when you use a good quality aloe, like Aloe Life, we feel we're the number one, and we're the best buy too. You can actually stop symptoms, and you can reverse these different conditions, including diabetes. I mean, this one piece of research I brought for the show today, it's right off the National Institute of Health website, and that's important to note that they found that every single one of the humans in the study, wasn't mice, improved their glucose as well as their hemoglobin A1C, which is testing into the cell itself, that the blood sugar improved in 4 to 8 weeks, almost normalized. The triglycerides, which is also a problem. And why this is such a problem, and I'll hand you back to the program, is that glucose is sugar and it's energy for every cell. And we're only as healthy as each cell, friend. So when you have an herb like aloe, and definitely, a product line like Aloe Life that's sold in every single health food store throughout L.A. and inland and, all over the world, and you just take an ounce and have your body start rebalancing. I mean, it's really just an incredible opportunity, isn't it?
I actually take it. I love aloe. I have been taking it for a long time. It's kind of a joke within my family. My mom I would say to her, I have a hangnail, and she'd say, have you gone to the bathroom yet? And I'm like, okay, I never really understood that when I was younger, but now as I get older and the system starts to slow down and there's inflammation, and you have to, it's so important to take things to kind of help your body function
because
normally.
I've seen
and aloe,
so
I believe, is one of those things that kind of
cities.
lubricates your intestines, and it's just such a
I
good
don't
medicinal
live in Michigan.
thing to ingest.
Anyway,
also, I'm sitting here looking at
after the
your
break,
skin gel, which
we'll
my daughter uses.
We'll have a story about Suzuki's
correlated that.
sport
She's
bike
a swimmer,
plans, and then
and she's out
all that
all the time
on Wild Ride Radio. Stick around.
Back shortly. In the meantime, hit up our website, wildradio.com, and scratch that motorcycle itch.
You've probably heard me talk about Sero 3D, but have you actually...
And scratch that motorcycle itch.
You've probably heard me talk about Sero 3D.
And scratch that motorcycle itch.
You've probably heard me talk about Sero 3D.
We don't water it down. In fact, we concentrate it. So that's why you can use less and get more. So most products are watered down, and many of them don't claim the water on the label. So, I'm so happy. And do you notice the dark
quality
yellow color
parts for just about anything
you're
looking for. And if you want to deck out your ride with the latest accessories, go to Sero3D.com. They can also be found in many Harley-Davidson dealerships across the country. So no excuses. Look at Sero3D.com.
A place for the wild, crazy, and independent ones.
Oh, it's a miracle place.
Yeah,
it really is. And it actually has growth factors, so whether you're living with diabetes or have burns,
a place for the wild,
or a faucet that was so severe, it should be the go-to in everybody's first aid cabinet, because there's growth factor called gibberellins that stimulate the new cell growth. Besides, initially, it takes the pain out of the burn, which is so fabulous, and these natural anti-inflammatories from the plant itself really help to compensate for the dangerous, steroids and these different, chemicals that people use to decrease inflammation, for many, many reasons, but they cause bone loss too. So it's like all pharmaceutical drugs come with side effects where the the natural products have just good side effects, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So these growth factors are phenomenal, even with people with advanced diabetes or any other skin conditions, that they found that with kidney damage that sets in and thyroid problems and, just the whole gamut, losing the circulation from not having the energy source for the cells to cause energy. You feel better. You absorb your B12 and all your, nutrients from your food, but it actually helps. Now, the end result is to recondition and renew cells. So the cells that are damaged in the kidneys start rebuilding themselves. And we have many people on dialysis using the Aloe Life products. You have to go easy, and it's not a cure. What it does is it starts putting balance back in the body so that it can actually regain optimum health.
What would you say for the average person to take daily?
Daily, because it's a concentrate, friends. That's why it's going to cost more, but you take just capsules. If you have loose stool, if you have diarrhea, just because your whole intestinal tract is overstimulated and you might have bowel disease and such, just take a capsule before each meal. But if for children or teenagers, you're going to be treated like an adult, and it's 1 ounce to 2 ounces a day. So whether it's for digestion, elimination, it's a great detoxer. If you want the body to start getting rid of waste and chemicals
for more of this
that we all get from the
discussion and
you want to really.
All right, we'll be right back, Riders.
I've been on it for almost 25 years.
Wild Ride Radio will be back soon. In the meantime, check out all the biker merch in our online store at wildrideradio.com.
You've probably heard me talk about Sero 3D, but have you actually taken a look at what they have to offer? If not, why?
With more on Wild Ride Radio.
Okay,
Dump the clutch.
probiotics is good, but it's a partner.
If you're a biker and you know it, dump the clutch.
Actually helps to stimulate our
if you're a
own digestive
biker
process.
and you know
When
it,
get the pancreas
if you're a
working, okay, then you start making your own pancreatic enzymes. So 1 ounce a day to 2 ounces a day for an adult. And then if people have a lot of challenges, like we deal with people that even have a poor functioning immune system, like dealing with cancer. I mean, it's amazing the cancer-fighting ability that you can stimulate in the body in 4 different pathways, drinking 3 to 4 ounces of a good quality aloe.
And would you say, is that first thing in the morning or after breakfast or all throughout the day?
Take it before meals. So it's really a digestive aid that really helps. And Aloe Life actually makes other herbal blends. Like I started talking about blood sugar, we have our Aloe Boost. So if you want, like a one-stop shopping that has the aloe with nopal, which is another wonderful one that really helps the pancreas kick in and work for you, and vitamin E, which is important for all of us, that's a good product. We also have somebody that has more nausea and gas with their bowel disease or just from taking medication. They got in trouble with their reflux and that type of thing. We have a Stomach Plus formula, which has catnip and meadowsweet, and it calms down more of the symptoms. So I'll just say take it before meals, no matter what. We also have a Detox Plus.
We've got links to Facebook and Instagram up there, so check it out, wildrideradio.com. We'll have a lot of fun, and we'll be back.
Really wonderful line. So
leave the leathers on. Wild Ride Radio will be right back.
You've probably heard me talk about Sero 3D, but have you actually taken a look at what they have to offer? If not, why? They offer a wide variety of innovative products for a huge range of bikes. You can find top quality parts for just about anything you're looking for. And if you want to deck out your ride with the latest accessories, go to Sero3D.com. They can also be found in many Harley-Davidson dealerships across the country, so no excuses. Look, the point is, you really should check out Sero 3D. You owe it to yourself, and really, you owe it to your ride. Sero3D.com. That's Sero3D.com.
Loud Pipes save lives, and Wild Ride Radio saves sanity.
Loud Pipes save an ounce a day. The reason you can use such a small quantity is because you add no water to your aloe. Is that correct?
Exactly. The aloe plant is a succulent. It's in the garlic family. It has a lot of sulfur and it has a lot of vanadium and other trace minerals. That's why it helps with the stimulating and supporting glandular health when we started talking about blood sugar and diabetes. But we're lacking nutrients.
Loud Pipes save lives.
Nutrient with vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients that lower inflammation. So again, there's lots of water in the plant being a succulent. So we remove
You're
water.
Right. Sero3D.com. That's Sero3D.com.
25 pounds of aloe leaves, the whole leaf, so you get all of the active in every quart of the juice. So that's why you can get the results with Aloe Life that you just aren't going to get with any other product on the shelf, taking just 1 ounce a day. But you got to start eating better too, friends.
Right.
You know, the body, we started talking today, it's a machine. It runs on food, and you are at the controls.
Karen,
so make sure you get your proteins and your vegetables and your fruits, and leave the junk food and sugar for just a little bit.
That's good advice. We've been speaking with Karen Masterson-Cook, who's the founder, the CEO of Aloe Life, one of my favorite aloe vera products, and they've been around since 1991. They have a great track record. The Aloe Life is organically grown. Karen is a regular contributor to Here's to Your Health. This is Josh Lane along with Corey Oliver, and we're going to take a short break, and we will
Loud Pipes Save Lives and Wild Ride Radio.
Important messages.
Have you had your Carlson Norwegian fish oil today? Decades ago, scientists discovered why Greenland Eskimos maintain healthy hearts despite their high-fat diets. The high level of omega-3 oils in their seafood diet protected their hearts. Carlson Norwegian fish oil provides those important omega-3 oils. The same omega-3s from cold water fish support maximum brain power, immune strength, joint comfort, and our vision too. Carlson, the very finest fish oil, is a valuable source of the important omega-3s EPA and DHA. Each teaspoon provides a full 1,600 milligrams of omega-3s. And its purity is guaranteed. Try it on salads and popcorn. It tastes like lemon, not fishy. Ask for Carlson, the very finest fish oil, at finer health food stores today.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health. I'm your host, Josh Lane, and I'm in studio with my co-host, Corey Oliver. Corey Oliver, you may have seen her recently in God's Not Dead. I remember when I went to the theater to see her, I never had anyone in film before that I knew who was in film, and there Corey was. It was like 45 feet, and there was Corey's face. I thought to myself, this is pretty cool. I thought, wow, I know Corey Oliver. You know, so it's great, really. And she and Kevin Sorbo were really quite very remarkably good in that God's Not Dead, which an indie film that surprised everyone by doing major box office. People really wanted to go see that film. They liked that film. It was just really quite a remarkable hit.
It was indeed. It was a $1.2 million budget that blew up to over $140 million worldwide. So,
oh my God,
it became a box office hit, literally almost overnight.
Right.
Yeah. It's amazing the internet these days, how it can just move something right along like that. You know,
with
that
social
media.
Advertising on that, people talking about it?
Yeah, that helped tremendously to promote that movie. But you know what, Josh?
Yes.
Enough about me. You are so kind and so sweet to always ask me questions, but I'm sure your listeners...
It was nice to see you really on really, when I saw you in the theater, I thought to myself, this is actually pretty cool. I think this is really, I kind of like this, really.
Thank you. Yeah. I know. And then I was in live, and did you have nightmares that night?
No.
Okay, good.
I don't have nightmares. No,
that's good.
No.
But as I was saying, I'm sure your listeners want to know a little bit about you. So today I want to just kind of flip this around and ask a little bit about you, Josh, because they're listening to that wonderful, sultry voice of yours.
Oh, thank you.
And so I'm curious. Let's have like a little moment of get to know Josh.
Well,
Lane, Joshua Lane.
I had Rosemary Gladstar on just earlier, and Rosemary is just a couple years older than me. But I've been reading her really since I think either the late 70s or the very early 80s. She and Kathy Curville used to write these articles in like these little magazines that now seem very dated because the technology's changed, but herbal magazines, you know, and there weren't that many, and I would read them and think, this is great. I mean, you know, because you're learning so much information. And at the time, too, it seemed kind of clubby because less people were interested in natural foods. You know, so people thought, oh, who cares? Nobody even really wanted to talk to you about it. They thought, oh, go take a hike. Just leave it, keep it to yourself. And that's changed. Now, in 2017, people are interested in what they eat, and they're interested in exercise. The whole landscape for how people think about their health has changed. And that's for the better. Because I can remember back in the early 70s, if you saw someone running in the streets, you know, exercising, you thought, what is that person doing? Someone's running in the street. Now, that sounds almost like a joke, but I'm not making a joke.
You're
I
right.
remember as a teenage boy in the late 60s, you know, people would be running and thought, my God, there's a guy running. Why? and now you realize, no, people exercising. And it's really interesting the way things have changed because the ideas of wellness, of self-care, the ideas turned out to be good ideas, not just fashionable. Because sometimes if it's fashionable, you know, in a year or two, people say, oh, that was dopey, we forget about it. But nutrition and wellness, a cleaner environment, everybody talks about it now. People disagree, but people talk about it.
Have you always been into health foods and vitamins and exercising?
My father actually was into it, and he believed that nutrition was important. And so I took it way further than my dad. But my father said, no, this is important. This is, you know, so I said, oh, okay, great. So I became vegetarian in high school.
Oh,
I was
see,
16.
Didn't know you were a vegetarian.
I was 16. No, I'm not now, but I was then.
Okay.
See, once again, you know, ideas change. I was vegetarian from age 16 to age 48.
Okay.
And then I was fed up with that, and I stopped being vegetarian.
That's a long time to be a vegetarian.
Long time, yeah. But before I stopped being vegetarian at age 48, for 10 years, I've been teasing myself. I thought, I think I'll quit this. Because I thought, I knew it wasn't enough. See, when I first became vegetarian in the 60s, and in the 70s, of course, you know, there was no discussion that the vegetarian diet was deficient in B12. There was no discussion because I was in that world, and all I did was read those books. And I hung out with people who did that. That's what I wanted to do. And there was no discussion. So later, maybe by the mid-70s, maybe the late 70s, they would say, oh, listen, if you're vegetarian and vegan, you're going to be B12 deficient. And no one knew. So right away, we see that the vegan diet doesn't work. And then there was discussion about 5 or 7 years later that the vegetarian diet was deficient in omega-3 fatty acids, which we get from eating fish, because humans are fish eaters. Humans have always lived, or humans have lived on the coast, all over the globe, where the climate is more moderate. And humans are smart enough and big enough to catch fish. We're really, as humans, not big enough to run down deer or antelope. They're too big. We learn to hunt in packs, and we're smarter than deer or antelope, so we run them down. But really, humans are fish eaters. We've always eaten lots and lots of fish. So the whole vegetarian thing is somewhat really of a philosophical movement.
Do you subscribe to that book, Eat Right for Your Blood Type?
Well, I think it's an interesting concept, but I think much more research needs to be done on it because I think there were huge holes in the science. You know, in one book he says, you know, type A blood, you know, they do very good eating,
right,
doing yoga. And I'm thinking to myself, listen, yoga is just exercise. It's great for everybody, you know, as long as you have a good teacher. So that was Peter DeMatto's book. And I think that it has potential, but the way it was presented, you can drive a truck through it, really. So you know, because when I read a book, I think, listen, do I like this book? Because if there's something in the book that I think, no, listen, this is dopey. You can't say this in a book. This is just
dopey.
You know,
look at you, Josh,
dopey,
getting all like gangster on us here. Dopey.
No, dopey. I've always that's not. I don't think it's really particularly gangster. But you know, no, when you write a book, you want to be cautious of what you say. On this show, I would try to be very cautious. I want people to listen to my guests and to myself, so I try to be very careful. I don't need to be the first guy saying something. I can wait until someone's been saying it for 5 or 10 years, people I respect, and then I can say it, you know, on the air. But I was vegetarian for a long time because it seemed like the thing to do at the time, and I was vegan from 1969 to 1976. I'm kind of proud of myself for that. Even though I knew it wasn't adequate, I was eating all this fruit. And fruit is great, but it doesn't sustain your blood sugar. So I'd have these huge blood sugar spikes all the time, and I knew it too. I was eating all these dates, you know.
And I think people can, to that point, that's a good point. I think people can tend to use fruit in the wrong way too. Yeah. I think I saw this couple online that were married for 80 years. They've been to, he's 110 and she's 100, and they attribute their longevity to fruit after each meal.
Okay.
After each meal, it's because of the digestive enzymes, right, I guess, that are in fruit. And so I think that you can, if you wake up, you eat dates and grapefruit and an apple, that's going to spike your blood sugar, and then it's going to drop soon thereafter, correct?
It will, yeah, pretty much. Like if you eat fruit for breakfast. Now, I like fruit, and, you know, I think fruit's great.
You always told me to eat salmon.
Yeah, no, salmon keeps your blood sugar steady. Now, if you eat fruit for breakfast, let's say you eat an apple and a couple of dates and an orange. Okay, great. So then you're good for roughly 45 minutes to an hour. And those are good choices. Those are good food choices. They're high in fiber, rich in nutrients, easy to digest, low calorie. All that's very desirable. But the downside is no real protein won't sustain your blood sugar. So roughly 45 minutes later, your blood sugar has dropped and you don't feel that good. But if you eat protein food, and I like to recommend things like salmon, chicken, turkey, lamb, you know, protein, animal protein, every meal, that's like every 3.5 or 4 hours, you keep your blood sugar stable, you feel fantastic. It might not seem very glamorous doing that.
You know what?
But it really works. And if you just eat fruit, and again, now let's say you have a family member, and they're busy drinking 3 or 4 bottles of Coca-Cola a day. Okay, so they're making a huge mistake, health-wise.
Right.
So if they decide to not drink Coca-Cola, not to pick on that, but, you know, Jack LaLanne never used the word Coca-Cola. He would always say soda pop. Right. When I was a young guy, I always thought, Jack, I love you, but why are you not saying the name of the company? He always said soda pop. Usually now as an older man, I say soda pop myself, but today for some reason I didn't. But so you don't want to drink any soda at all. And if you eat fresh fruit instead of soda, you've made a major step forward. You did a very smart thing. But then after you're doing it for a while, you realize it just won't sustain your sugar. So you can eat fruit, but you want to eat protein of your choice every meal, and you feel like King Kong when
you do. You're absolutely right. And when I did make that tiny little recommendation that you told me years ago, it was years ago, I do feel better. So thank you. I like salmon.
And it keeps your weight down too. So it's easy to be slim and look fantastic. All you got to do is you just want to eat carefully, and you save a ton of money too, by the way. And it's really, people think, oh God, it's so tough. No, actually, it turns out to be surprisingly easy.
And you know what? It's moderation, people. It's moderation. You can have one bite of a cake. Don't eat the whole cake. Just eat a bite.
Right.
It'll satisfy your sweet tooth.
Right.
Yeah, I'm Italian and French. I need pasta and pastry and sweets, and that's hard to take that away from me. I have 18 fillings in my mouth. So that's a lot of information, I know, but it's, as a kid, you know, that's all I did was eat a lot of sugar and stuff. So.
Yeah, and how many fillings does your daughter have?
She doesn't have any.
Right, because you as the mom knew more and gave her a better base. Now, that's not a put down of your parents, but it's to say that, you know, when you're a child, you have no clue you're a child. So if your mom and dad give you all this soda to drink, you think, fantastic, I'm just going to scarf that down. But if your parents have the understanding that, no, that's not a good choice for my kid, so she might go to a party and drink that because she wants to, but at the house, we don't serve that. Then the children grow up thinking, okay, I'm doing what mom and dad do because it's just the way it is.
Did you drink soda? Pop?
Oh, God, I drank a ton of soda.
Did you?
Oh, you know
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
And tell us just quickly what that does to your stomach lining.
Oh, it's bad for your stomach lining, it's bad for your teeth, it's bad for your bones, it's bad for your heart, it's bad for your ability to focus. It pushes you towards diabetes and heart disease. And sugars, processed sugars, don't necessarily cause cancer, but they do seem to make tumors grow.
Right.
So you can't, and remember, processed sugar is nothing but cheap starch. It's empty calories. It's everything you don't want. And why are Americans overweight? Is it because we have bad genetics? No. People in general have fantastic genetics. It's simply all the processed sugar they consume. And if you stop drinking processed sugar in the form of sodas and cake and cookies, and if you're, let's say you're a guy and you're 30 pounds overweight, because, you know, a lot of guys, you know, they're big guys. Guys eat more than women, too. I think that's, well, let me just mention this. One thing that I think women are surprised about when they marry is how much food the men can scarf down. The women are thinking, good Lord, who did I marry? You know, look at this. I can't believe it. Because women, in my opinion, tend to be more moderate in everything. You know, women might drink and drug, but they do less of that than men. Men just seem to, no, I'm going to do 1 million of these. Women do, no, I'll just do maybe 10. I'm not going to do 1 million. So women are just shocked when they marry men thinking, good Lord. Anyway, so processed sugar is what really does us in. You have a guy who's 30 pounds overweight, and he stops soda and Coca-Cola and Hershey bars, alcohol, all the processed sugar business. And in a month, the guy's like back to his weight. I mean, it's like,
I'm feeling good.
It's not rocket science, and it's not in a day, but in a month, which is a short time. People think, wow, that's amazing. That really did. Now, maybe some guys won't lose 30 pounds in the first month. They might only lose 25 pounds, and maybe a small guy loses 20 pounds. But they lose the weight not because they're dieting, but because they're thinking differently about food. It turns out to be so remarkably simple, but remarkably controversial. Robert Atkins, with the Atkins diet, who was an MD, a remarkable fellow who had very basic ideas. He said, listen, Americans, you want to be healthy? Eat protein with every meal. Don't eat any processed sugar. Now, today in 2017, not a radical message. But when he was doing it in the 70s and in the 80s, the idea of not eating processed sugar was so much of a challenge to the processed food manufacturers that they made it their business to go after Atkins. And let me say how they did this. Usually when you die, people say nice things about you because you're dead and you're out of the game. But when Atkins died, they said, oh, you know, Atkins, when he died, he was so overweight. They continued to attack him even after his death because his information was so important, and yet it so challenged the food manufacturers that they went after Atkins. And I thought that was very interesting. I was kind of a big fan of Atkins. I met him once, and I heard him lecture in Fort Lauderdale, Florida once, in person, and he was already an older man. He must have been 75, and he could have just, you know, floated and just said a few light things and got off the podium. He talked about cures for cancer and diabetes. He was remarkable. I thought, aha, this guy is really something. So.
Yeah.
Oh, anyway, kind of running out of time.
Joshua Lane, folks. Joshua Lane.
Thank you, Corey Oliver. So this is Josh Lane. You're listening to Here's to Your Health with Josh Lane and Corey Oliver, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
Hi, this is Nate Roos for RAD. Music and friends are two of the most important things in my life, but nothing is more important than life itself. Hey, when you know your friend shouldn't get behind the wheel, drive them home, call them a cab, or give them a rad card. Music lives, and so should you. I don't let my friends drive drunk. Do you?
Brought to you by RAD, OTS, California Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health with Joshua Lane. If you have any questions about the guests or topics discussed tonight, please give us a call at 818-707-0005. That number is 818-707-0005. This is Josh Lane. On behalf of the cast and crew, I would like to wish you a healthy and safe good evening.
Hello, I'm Pastor Greg Young, inviting you to join me each Tuesday and Thursday afternoon at 1 p.m. right here on KCAA for Chosen Generation Radio, the show where no topic is off limits and everything is filtered through biblical glasses. Dynamic interviews and no fake news. It all happens live at 10:50 a.m., 102.3 FM, 106.5 FM, and online at kcaaradio.com. 1 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm Pastor Greg. Please tune in. KCAA, the stations that leave no listeners behind.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
NBC News Radio, I'm Bill Zimfer. The White House is again saying a Senate health care bill is coming. Spokesman Sean Spicer said in an off-camera briefing today that the bill is on track. President Trump also sent out this get well message to John McCain.
We hope John McCain gets better very soon because we miss him. He's a crusty voice in Washington. Plus, we need his vote.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell decided to delay that vote on the bill because of McCain's surgery to remove a blood clot from above his eye. He is not expected back for several days, and yes, McCain's vote is necessary to move the health care bill forward. Made in America Week getting underway at the White House. President Trump is getting to look at a number of different items made in the U.S. Vice President Mike Pence says the Trump administration will do everything it can to increase Made in America labels and to boost overseas exports of U.S. products. If you own stock in Netflix, you got some good news today. It surged over 10%. Lisa Carter explains why.
Netflix says it added 5.2 million subscribers during the second quarter. Another dramatic sign of how people are switching from traditional TV to streaming. Financial analysts had been expecting those numbers to be around the 3.2 million mark. During the quarter, Netflix released some of the biggie shows like House of Cards and Orange is the New Black. In a release, the company said creating a TV network is now as easy as creating an app, and investment is pouring into content production around the world. Netflix now has nearly 104 million total subscribers. Lisa Carter, NBC News Radio.
Meanwhile, on Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrial Average ended the day 829. S&P 500 dropped half a point to 2459, and the Nasdaq climbed 2 points, finishing at 6314. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
For several days, you've been craving a juicy, tender steak. So it's time to satisfy that craving at Tony's Spunky Steer Restaurant. Tony's is located in the Tri-City Shopping Center in Redlands. At Tony's, you'll have top-notch service and feast on some of the best-tasting prime sizzler steaks in the Inland Empire. The Tri-City Center is located just off I-10 between Alabama and the Tennessee exits in Redlands. Make Tony's Spunky Steer your dining destination for that special occasion, or if you just want a great steak.
Dex Media is committed to providing powerful solutions for your business. We help level the playing field and give you the edge to compete in today's digital marketplace. Customers expect to read reviews and see videos showcasing your business. They want to engage via social media and text messaging, and they want to do it from any device and any place. Keeping up with your customers' data, social media, and website is a daunting task. Dex Media has the answer. Dex Hub, a complete solution for managing your business. It's an integrated business management and communication tool that provides all of these features in an easy-to-use, affordable solution. You'll have a dedicated advisor who works with you every step of the way, just like they're an extension of your business. Let us help you stay connected with your customers and build on the reputation and loyalty you've worked so hard to achieve. It's easy and simple, saving you time. To get started, check out DexHub at dexmedia.com or call 888-733-9482.
This is Pastor Greg from Chosen Generation Radio Show, heard right here on KCAA, 1 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Do any of these sound familiar? Not sleeping well, waking up tired, drinking more coffee than usual, can't stay focused, craving sugary drinks and snacks, feel like you're stuck on a treadmill, having trouble managing your weight, not sick but not firing on all cylinders? Any one of these could mean that you might have a system overload, and Thyroadrenal might just be right for you. Think about it. You've probably been feeling like this for a while. Life has a way of wearing you down, and if you aren't getting the right nutrients, then physical and emotional wear and tear will take its toll. Most of us at some time or another could use some nutritional support for our adrenal and thyroid glands to bring things back in balance. Our bodies respond well to optimal nutrition to keep daily energy levels up and stress levels down. Try Thyroadrenal from Michael's Naturopathic Programs, a nourishing support formula with vitamins, minerals, and herbs to put back what life takes out. Look for Michael's on the label. We're serious about good health. Thyroadrenal is available at leading health food stores nationwide. If you don't see it on the shelf, then ask for it by name. Thyroadrenal.
Psst. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Do you know where you are? Well, you've done it now. You're listening to KCAA Loma Linda, your CNBC news station. So expect the unexpected.
Wild Ride Radio, your source for everything motorcycle. Tips, tricks, events, rides of the week, rallies, and more. Now here's your host, Dallas Hageman.
Welcome, riders, from coast to coast to the largest motorcycle-only radio talk show around. It's Wild Ride Radio. Thanks so much for joining me like you do each and every week. So good to have you along. I love having this time of week. It's time for unofficial and probably pretty terrible group therapy for motorcycle enthusiasts. Unofficial therapy. If you come to me for therapy, you need more help than I could ever give. In no way am I a professional, but we love to talk bikes here. So if you're interested in motorcycles or have been riding for a million miles plus, it is a great show to keep updated and informed on everything two wheels and two-wheel related. So anyway, we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. It seems like during the summer months, my stack of stuff to talk about is exponentially larger than wintertime. I mean, I never run out of stuff to discuss with you, but the summertime, it just kind of explodes, and I literally have about an inch thick paperwork on my desk of stuff I'd like to get to today, and there's no way that's going to happen. It's just going to absolutely be impossible to talk about all that stuff. So I did sort through it, and I found a couple of things that I think you'll find interesting and some pertinent, hopefully. Anyway, Harley-Davidson is doing something with a college and offering a unique thing to students that I wanted to let you know about. And we'll talk about it a little bit later on in the show, but I think there's a reason that Harley is doing this. A couple of reasons that Harley is doing this, and some of them are genius and some of them are a sign of the times. But we'll discuss what Harley-Davidson is doing and partnering with the college, what that college is, and if you're thinking about getting into college or getting into a trade, how you can get a piece of the action from Harley-Davidson. Also, we've got 10 places to ride during Sturgis Bike Week. So if you're planning on going to Sturgis this year, there are 10 places to definitely ride. Now, this list is from J&P Cycles. It's written by Joe Peak. But some of them, if you've been to Sturgis once, you've probably been on 3 or 4 of them. But not all of them. Not all the routes are that well known, especially if you just go to Sturgis and stay the week in Sturgis. Now, me, myself, when I go to Sturgis, I like the whole feel and the vendors and everything going on during Sturgis Bike Week, but I have to get away from it all every now and then. I can only take so much. It's like Vegas. You can only take so much before you have to go and let a little air out of the balloon and just get away from it all. Get away from the people and the noise and so on and so forth. I love that atmosphere, but there is certain times that I need to go, and I need to ride. I need to get out and ride. After all, that's what Sturgis is all about, right? Motorcycles and riding. I'm surprised how many people trailer their bikes to Sturgis and then act like they ride and then trailer their bikes back from Sturgis. But I'm not going to get into that. That's neither here nor there. It's just I like to ride more. And so I've got 10 places to ride during Sturgis Bike Week. And if you're not going to Sturgis, you still may want to write a couple of these down because they are really phenomenal routes. It doesn't have to be during the week of Sturgis. Don't think that. You can plan on these in the future to take, and they're all, I've taken all the routes, and I can vouch for every one of them. They're gorgeous and very entertaining. So we've got 10 places to ride during Sturgis, and also Suzuki has revealed new sport bike plans that are unlike anything that Suzuki has ever done. So we'll discuss that, as well as an article about the motorcycle industry that's dying from Bloomberg.com. Somebody, Kyle Stock at Bloomberg.com, thinks the motorcycle industry is dying. And I was even sent this article on Facebook. And we're going to talk about why that's patently absurd, in my opinion. But I wanted to get to this piece first from the Associated Press. The Michigan Senate voted to increase motorcycle fees. Now, if you don't live in Michigan, this is still pertinent to you, okay? Because, like I've said many times before, other states see what their surrounding states do and may or may not impose this certain fees or restrictions or laws, so on and so forth, that states surrounding them do. So that's why I like to talk about different states doing different things, because I know this show's heard all across the country, but it is pertinent what happens in one state, because when it happens in one state, a lot of times other states pick that up and carry it. So this is from Lansing. But the Michigan Senate has given final approval to legislation raising registration taxes and safety training fees for motorcyclists. The bill passed would increase the annual registration fee to $25, a $2 increase. So not much, right? I mean, essentially $2. If you can't afford $2, you probably can't afford to be on a motorcycle. And they're claiming that it would boost initial endorsement fees to $16 from $13.50 and renewals from $7 to $5. The additional registration fee revenue would go toward an existing motorcycle safety education program, while some of the endorsement fees revenue would fund a new program promoting motorcycle awareness. Not a huge story on the surface, right? And that's one reason I've only seen this float around one place online. And it's from Michigan, the Associated Press, but talking about Michigan. There's a couple reasons why this bugged me. Michigan, for all intents and purposes, the state is going broke. I mean, it's a state that's been very oppressive to their people, and the taxes there are incredibly high, and legislation there is incredibly restrictive. But then this new fee, my question is, where does it stop, really? And yes, the fee, it only raised a whopping $2. Well, if you let $2, like I said, where does that stop? Where does that increase stop? And why does it just fall on motorcyclists to fund a new program promoting motorcycle awareness? Why does it just fall on motorcyclists to fund that only? Because that's where the fees are going. I see no mention of anybody else getting increases in the state of Michigan to fund these programs for motorcycle awareness and a motorcycle safety education program. I get that if they're training motorcyclists or training people who want to become motorcyclists, I get that motorcyclists should have to pay for that and nobody else should have to pay for that training. I get that. But the safety awareness program, why do motorcyclists have to pay for that 100%? Why can't it be everybody in Michigan who operates whether it's a motorcycle or a car or a semi-truck or you name it, whatever, if it's a motorized vehicle and it's on the interstates or the highways, the streets, whatever, why doesn't everybody have to chip in for motorcycle awareness and safety? Because isn't safety everybody's responsibility? Shouldn't the safety of everybody on the road be everybody's responsibility? I mean, driving and driver's licenses are a privilege. They're not a right. That's what a lot of people get confused. So when people treat driving like a right, then they start neglecting their responsibilities, i.e. texting while driving or or not paying attention, or eating a salad while they're behind the wheel, whatever. Throw something in there. I mean, we've all seen idiotic, distracted drivers. So when drivers start treating something like a right instead of a privilege, they neglect taking responsibility. But I don't understand why motorcyclists have to foot the bill for a program promoting motorcycle awareness. I think everybody should have to foot the bill for that. Because motorcyclists have to foot the bill for taxes on the road and everything else, right? I mean, they have to pay into everything else, and then on top, a motorcycle awareness program. I think everybody in the state should have to pay into a safety program if it's for the safety of everybody else. I mean, doesn't that just make sense? Am I the only one that thinks that? Maybe I am. If you disagree with me, or if you agree with me, send me an email, dallas@wildrideradio.com. I'd love to talk about it, but this just bugs me because I've seen so many cities in Michigan misallocate and misappropriate funds, and this is another way to glean a little bit more money from riders in the name of safety that probably won't make a hill of beans difference to drivers anywhere. But it's another reason I don't live in Michigan. Anyway, coming up after the break, we'll have a story about Suzuki's sport bike plans, and then also about the motorcycle industry dying, and 10 places to ride after that. And we'll talk about Harley-Davidson and what they're doing with the community college. All that on Wild Ride Radio. Stick around.
We'll be back shortly. In the meantime, hit up our website, wildrideradio.com, and scratch that motorcycle itch.
You've probably heard me talk about Zero 3D, but have you actually taken a look at what they have to offer? If not, why? They offer a wide variety of innovative products for a huge range of bikes. You can find top quality parts for just about anything you're looking for. And if you want to deck out your ride with the latest accessories, go to zero3d.com. They can also be found in many Harley-Davidson dealerships across the country, so no excuses. Look, the point is, you really should check out Zero 3D. You owe it to yourself, and really, you owe it to your ride. Zero3D.com. That's Zero3D.com.
Exploring science in the sea. Getting to know all the fish in the seas is a tough job. There's a lot of ocean to cover after all, and many species aren't especially easy to find. They have limited numbers or range, or they lurk in waters that aren't often explored. An example is the frilled shark. It looks almost nothing like most other shark species. Its body is long and sinuous, like an eel's, and its head looks more like a snake than a fish. It has a prehistoric look, which is appropriate since its ancestors were around at least 80 million years ago. But biologists know little about it because the frilled shark is hard to find. The population appears to be small, and its range is limited. In fact, researchers have photographed only one specimen in its natural habitat. Still, scientists have put together a limited dossier on this odd little shark. The adults seen so far grow up to about 6 feet long, and they generally swim at depths of a few hundred to a few thousand feet. The shark has 6 pairs of gills with frilly edges, hence its name. It appears to eat mostly squid and can swallow prey as much as half its own size. The frilled shark has a mouthful of teeth, about 300 of them, in 25 rows. Researchers speculate that the shark may float along at a depth of a few hundred feet, waiting for prey to swim by. Then it strikes like a snake, snagging a meal and using its teeth to keep it from escaping. Despite this sketchy profile, biologists are a long way from really knowing this odd and elusive shark. For the University of Texas Marine Science Institute, I'm Holly Brawley.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation. And Angioprim is the result, a safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
This is Pastor Greg from Chosen Generation Radio Show, heard right here on KCAA, 1 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Do any of these sound familiar? Not sleeping well, waking up tired, drinking more coffee than usual, can't stay focused, craving sugary drinks and snacks, feel like you're stuck on a treadmill, having trouble managing your weight, not sick but not firing on all cylinders? Any one of these could mean that you might have a system overload, and Thyrodrenal might just be right for you. Think about it. You've probably been feeling like this for a while. Life has a way of wearing you down, and if you aren't getting the right nutrients, then physical and emotional wear and tear will take its toll. Most of us at some time or another could use some nutritional support for our adrenal and thyroid glands to bring things back in balance. Our bodies respond well to optimal nutrition to keep daily energy levels up and stress levels down. Try Thyrodrenal from Michael's Naturopathic Programs, a nourishing support formula with vitamins, minerals, and herbs to put back what life takes out. Look for Michael's on the label. We're serious about good health. Thyrodrenal is available at leading health food stores nationwide. If you don't see it on the shelf, then ask for it by name. Thyrodrenal.
KCAA is your CNBC News affiliate. We're the station that gets down to business.
A place for the wild, crazy, and independent ones. This is Wild Ride Radio.
Wild Ride Radio, the only motorcycle talk show for a dying industry. At least according to Bloomberg.com. You know, I don't know which one to get to first. Let's do this one. Let's do this. Well, I'm going to save Suzuki for the end of the segment if we get to it. There's an article from Bloomberg.com written by Kyle Stock titled "The Motorcycle Industry is Dying." As aging riders hang up their leathers, Harley-Davidson and Honda pin their hopes on smaller, affordable bikes for a new generation. Now, I'm going to go through this, and then we'll talk about it afterwards, what I think, in my opinion, is on the whole debacle that Bloomberg sees the motorcycle industry to be. But somewhere in the article, they're talking about these new motorcycles and what exactly manufacturers are trying to do. And even Mark Hoyer, the editor-in-chief of Cycle World, says that these new motorcycles are not only trying to target new demographics, but also new thinking. So you've probably seen, if you've been to a dealership within the past 5 years, you've probably seen bikes making a bigger shift than normal. And I'm not just talking about new models or different parts or pieces. I'm talking about thinned down, cheaper, smaller bikes that are aimed more towards younger generations, or millennials in this case. And you might not even know or have known why motorcycle manufacturers were doing this and creating a whole new version of bikes. Or maybe you are a millennial and you were interested in these or are interested in these brand new motorcycles. But since the recession long ago, back in 2006 or 2008, motorcycles have started to take a dive, at least sales-wise. And back in 2006 or so, motorcycle sales peaked. They were at their best in a very, very long time. And they sold about a little over 700,000 motorcycles a year, which is a good number of bikes. Now, that's not just for one company. That's for all the companies in the United States. So a little over 700,000 motorcycles were sold. Now, when the recession hit, the market went down. Obviously, it went down pretty hard. Bike sales fell by 41% in 2009 and another 14% the following year. Now, that's from the MIC, or Motorcycle Industry Council. In 2016, U.S. customers bought about 371,000 new bikes, which is, if you remember, that's almost half as many a little over 10 years ago. So obviously the industry has taken quite a dive and quite a hit from not only the recession, but also from the new demographic and new market of people who are coming in that are just simply not buying motorcycles. I mean, even in this article, they talk about what they call the generational time bomb. In 2003, about 1/4 of U.S. motorcycle riders were 50 or older. By 2014, it was close to half. And the market has been cruising on a demographic that may only be able to buy one more bike. Now, they say suddenly bike makers desperately need new riders, and millennials, apparently, are the best hope. Not only are there more of them than Gen Xers, but they also have a longer expected lifetime value. And lifetime value is essentially a fancy corporate way of saying that they're a lot farther away from getting to retirement age, or at least needing a hip replacement or something to that effect. So millennials are a lot healthier. They have a better life expectancy, so more time alive means more time to buy stuff, essentially. So, I've even talked to sales managers, and I'm not going to give their names away because they'd probably lose their job, but I've talked to sales managers who are wringing their hands, literally, and just so distraught by how many younger people are not, or seemingly are not, getting into the motorcycle culture and the motorcycle lifestyle and the industry. And while I would agree with that to some extent, it is not the 30,000-foot view that I have of motorcycles as a whole. Now, the motorcycle manufacturers have started releasing entry-level motorcycles, especially Harley-Davidson. And I know a lot of other companies have smaller, cheaper bikes, but Harley, I'm going to bring up Harley because they were they're the name brand in America, if you will. And they essentially, for all intents and purposes, sold the most expensive motorcycles. Well, they took the biggest hit because, yes, it is true that their demographic is not dying off, but getting too old to want to buy another motorcycle ever. In fact, I have quite a few older friends, and they said that they just bought another Harley-Davidson. They said that's going to be their last bike that they buy. And Harley-Davidson is still very heavily dependent on those older riders. So what Harley did a couple years back, if you remember, they built the street models. And the street motorcycles were and are entry-level motorcycles for Harley-Davidson. So they're cheap to buy, fairly cheap to work on, cheap to operate, and millennials were somewhat attracted to them. Well, that kind of led the charge for a lot of other manufacturers to start really figuring out what millennials want. Because they don't want the big, heavy, gaudy dressers full of chrome and all the accessories and all the crap that most other riders, predominantly Harley riders, like to put on their motorcycles. And I'm not, Harley owners, please believe me, I'm not bashing you at all. I own a 2012 Road Glide Ultra. My wife has armrests and a cup holder. I have a cup holder on it. I've got a sheepskin for a seat, backrests all over the place. I've got 2 sets of foot pegs on it. So when I talk about all the crap that Harley owners like to add on their bikes, I'm right there with you. In fact, I even have a plug-in heated mug to keep my coffee warm. I'm one of those guys. So just know I'm not attacking you. I can relate to you, but I'm saying with millennials and inside millennials' minds, they don't want all that stuff. They want something that's cheap, preferably that they can own outright, because a lot of millennials are not taking on any debt. They refuse to take on debt, and I commend them for that. I think that Americans have been and become slaves to debt and banks for far too long. So when they walk into a dealership, any dealership, and they see a $35,000 price tag, and the salesman saying, well, yeah, we can get you finance really easy. It's only 13% interest and blah, blah, blah. They're looking at that thing. You're out of your mind. I'm going to go find a cheap bike on Craigslist and ride around. I'm just fine. I don't care about brand. I just want to ride. That's where millennials are. And the thing that's been a problem with Harley for a long time is they have depended solely on their brand. And yes, the older riders, they care about that. Younger riders couldn't care less about that. A lot of them. They just want something reliable and cheap. So, I don't. The author of this, Kyle Stock, of this article from Bloomberg, he does bring up a couple of really good points where motorcycles sales have fallen, and a lot of that had to do as well with oil prices. Remember oil prices back in 2006? They were going pretty strong. When the oil industry died out and then has been choked to death by the previous administration for 8 years, a lot of people in the oil industry had to give up their bikes. Well, that oil industry is thankfully coming back, and so you're going to see an influx of people buying more motorcycles. However, that's just because those people have disposable income now, and motorcycles by most people aren't seen as something that is a necessity. Oh man, it's already time to get out of here. I'm going to pick this up in the next segment. We're just going to do that. I'm going to shove things around a little bit. We're going to keep talking about this, and then I'll touch on to the 10 places to ride during Sturgis. And if we get to it, what Harley-Davidson is doing with a local college and how you can get involved in that as well. So stick around for more of this discussion. And I can't believe it's already time. All right, we'll be right back, riders.
Wild Ride Radio will be back soon. In the meantime, check out all the biker merch in our online store at wildrideradio.com.
You've probably heard me talk about Zero 3D, but have you actually taken a look at what they have to offer? If not, why? They offer a wide variety of innovative products for a huge range of bikes. You can find top quality parts for just about anything you're looking for. And if you want to deck out your ride with the latest accessories, go to zero3d.com. They can also be found in many Harley-Davidson dealerships across the country, so no excuses. Look, the point is, you really should check out Zero 3D. You owe it to yourself, and really, you owe it to your ride. Zero3d.com. That's Zero3D.com.
Where are Charlie and Dave, Mrs. Koch's two mischievous boys? The Koch brothers have stayed out of the national limelight recently, but they're still trying to supplant American democracy with their little laissez-fairyland plutocracy. In fact, in late June, they held a meeting of the Koch Boys Billionaires Club, gathering about 400 other uber-wealthy rascals to plot some political hijinks for next year's elections. The club meets every year at some luxury hideaway, and its attendees have to pay $100,000 each just to get in. But participants also are expected to give generously to the brothers' goal of spending $400 million to buy a slew of Congress critters, governors, and others in 2018. This year, the group gathered in Colorado Springs at the ultra-luxe Broadmoor Hotel and Resort, owned by the brothers' billionaire pal and right-wing co-conspirator, Philip Anschutz. Among the recent political triumphs that these elites celebrated in the Broadmoor's posh ballroom was the defeat this year of the Colorado tax hike to fix the state's crumbling roads. After all, who needs adequate roads when you can arrive in private jets? This attitude of the Koch's privileged cohorts explains why the public is shut out of these candid sessions. A staffer for the Koch confab hailed such no-tax, no-roads policies as a renaissance of freedom. For the privileged, that is, freedom to prosper at the expense of everyone else. This is Jim Hightower saying, indeed, their agenda includes killing such working-class needs as minimum wage and Social Security, and privatizing everything from health care to public education. In fact, the ultimate intention of this self-absorbed cabal of spoiled plutocratic brats is nothing less than to abandon our nation's core democratic principle of we're all in this together. If they kill that uniting concept, they'll kill America itself.
Like to spend a few days in another world? Then write this down. Golden Bear Cottages, Big Bear Lake. Now, listen, this is not some corporate-owned operation. It's family-owned and operated by some real nice people. Unique? Oh, you bet. Golden Bear Cottages features 28 one-of-a-kind cabins on a 5-acre historic site. Great for families, couples, and groups. And cabins are available with 1 to 7 bedrooms. Golden Bear Cottages is just a stone's throw from Big Bear Lake and super close to 3 great ski areas. Now, I could go on all day about Golden Bear Cottages in Big Bear, but to see everything, Just go to goldenbear.net. Again, goldenbear.net. Golden Bear Cottages in Big Bear. Clean, comfortable, and affordable. Check them out. goldenbear.net.
Hi, I'm Dr. Bob Marshall, PhD, host of Healthline. Tune in to get your questions answered and hear the latest breakthrough information for you and your family. Our pollen de fleur is on special. Natural support for the bladder, prostate, urinary, immune, and menopausal health. Pollen de fleur is a non-solvent flower pollen extract from rye pollen. Flower pollen extracts contain high levels of amino acids, antioxidants, and phytosterols. Pollen de fleur also delivers bioflavonoids, key help if you're waking up at night to urinate. Buy 2 bottles, get the third one free. Call 800-370-3447. That's 800-370-3447. And you can visit us online at qnlabs.com. That's qnlabs.com. Experience nutrition that really works.
You're listening to KCAA, your good neighbor along the way.
If you're a biker and you know it, dump the clutch. We're back with more on Wild Ride Radio.
Welcome back to Wild Ride Radio Riders, where we're talking one thing, and that's motorcycles. And we're actually right in the middle of a discussion of an article, dissecting an article from Bloomberg.com by Kyle Stock, "The Motorcycle Industry is Dying." And I was talking before we were so rudely cut off by all the sponsors. We were talking about, no, I love the sponsors. That's one reason we're on, and they make it possible for this show to be on the air. But I wanted to keep going with this article and not just hurry through it, because I do think it's important. I think a lot of riders and bikers, motorcyclists, are a little bit worried, especially the older ones, that their culture, their way of doing things, and passing the torch, if you will, to the next generation may be dying out. And a couple of you sent this piece to me via email. And if you find pieces like this you want it talked about on the show, just email me, dallas@wildrideradio.com. I'd love to talk with you a little bit about it. But people are a little bit worried. And like I said, I've even talked to a couple of sales managers that are genuinely worried, not only about the businesses they work for, but also their jobs, if millennials and younger people are not getting into the sport, the lifestyle, what is going to happen to the industry as a whole. Now, I can promise you right now that motorcycles are not dying, and they will never die. Stake my reputation on it. They're not going anywhere. What may change is the landscape and the way the motorcycle industry has constructed everything. That may change. But the only constant in this life is change. So you may not see a heavily attended Sturgis in the next 25 years. You might not see a heavily attended Laconia Bike Week or whatever. I mean, name a rally right now that's raking in cash and just so widely attended. Pick a rally out of the hat. You may not see, I'm not saying they're going to go away, but there might be a huge drop in attendance because the landscape of motorcycles I may own 2% of that $1 million house, but I wouldn't own it. I'd own the debt on it, and debt and owning are two very different things. So millennials are kind of changing the demographic and changing the market, and so motorcycle manufacturers are trying to figure out what the heck to do and how to get as much income from them as previous generations, and I don't think that's possible. I really don't. I think they're going to have to offer cheaper bikes and expect a lot less in return. Because millennials aren't going to walk in and spend $600 for a jacket. They're just not going to do it. Either they can't afford it or refuse to do it. The demographic and the landscape of the motorcycle industry is changing. It is not dying, as this article says. It's not dying. I mean, I heard a long time ago when I first got into radio, Dallas, you're an idiot for getting into radio. Radio's dead. It's dying. It's going to be out in a couple of years. You're cooked. You're finished. You're done. Radio's numbers are posting the best ever this last year from the numbers we were able to look at. The people who listen to radio have increased so much, it is the highest in history. So I don't believe it when somebody says, well, that's going to die out, that's never going to work, blah, blah, blah. The only time that was actually pertinent is when the horseless carriage, i.e. the internal combustion engine, came in and stopped horse travel. Other than that, it's been pretty much the same. I mean, there's people who thought the TV was going to die out when it first started. And like I said, radio, they thought it was going to die out. The motorcycle industry is not dying. It is shrinking a little bit, but that doesn't mean that that's a bad thing. I think the motorcycle industry was a little bit bloated for a long time and enjoyed a lot of growth that maybe was undeserved and maybe they got too comfortable with. So yes, the motorcycle industry is changing, but no, it is not dying. It will never die. And to kind of piggyback on that, before we get out of here for the break, I wanted to talk about Suzuki's new sport bike plans. There's a brand new design from R&D from Suzuki that has a patent for a battery-powered GSX-R. Now, in this article from VisorDown.com, these guys don't think that this is going to be a production. Shows, and we've got links to Facebook and Instagram up there, so check it out. WildRideRadio.com. We'll have a lot of fun, and we'll be back right after this.
So leave me alone. Leave the leathers on. Wild Ride Radio will be right back.
You've probably heard me talk about Zero 3D, but have you actually taken a look at what they have to offer? If not, why? They offer a wide variety of innovative products for a huge range of bikes. You can find top quality parts for just about anything you're looking for. And if you want to deck out your ride with the latest accessories, go to Zero3D.com. They can also be found in many Harley-Davidson dealerships across the country, so no excuses. Look, the point is, you really should check out Zero 3D. You owe it to yourself, and really, you owe it to your ride. Zero3D.com. That's Zero3D.com.
I'm getting older and noticing that my body just doesn't work as well as it used to. So I like to keep fit as possible by hitting the gym a few times a week. Recently, I started having a nagging bicep pain, and it got so bad I couldn't even lift the weights. When I was complaining about it to a friend, he told me about angioprim. He said chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages. You know, after just 1 week of taking Angioprim, the pain was gone, and now I'm back in the gym full strength. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in Angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. So to learn more, go to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com, or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim toll-free at 877-882-7221. You'll feel better with more energy. Call 877-882-7221 or go to the website angioprim.com.
Dex Media is committed to providing powerful solutions for your business. We help level the playing field and give you the edge to compete in today's digital marketplace. Customers expect to read reviews and see videos showcasing your business. They want to engage via social media and text messaging, and they want to do it from any device and any place. Keeping up with your customers' data, social media, and website is a daunting task. Dex Media has the answer. Dex Hub, a complete solution for managing your business. It's an integrated business management and communication tool that provides all of these features in an easy-to-use, affordable solution. You'll have a dedicated advisor who works with you every step of the way, just like they're an extension of your business. Let us help you stay connected with your customers and build on the reputation and loyalty you've worked so hard to achieve. It's easy and simple, saving you time. To get started, check out Dex Hub at dexmedia.com or call 888-733-9482.
KCAA Loma Linda, your CNBC news station, where your business comes first.
Loud pipes save lives, and Wild Ride Radio saves sanity. And we're back with more.
Welcome back to Wild Ride Radio. We're going to talk about the 10 places to ride during Sturgis Bike Week. But you got to remember that these places aren't only during Sturgis Bike Week. So Sturgis does not need to be going on if you want to take these rides. So if you're around the area or close to the area, or you're planning a trip next year, anytime, or even this year, not around Sturgis, you can still take these rides, and they're just as good, just as gorgeous, if not a little bit better, because you don't have a ton of traffic. And I love bikers, I love riders, but sometimes, I mean, I was up at Sturgis for the 75th anniversary where there's like a million riders, and in a town full of like, 4,700 people that typically live in Sturgis, to shove 1 million people in there, it was insanity. It was absolute madness. I wanted to leave very, very soon after I got there, and the roads were just packed full. So if you like to go before or after Sturgis or around Sturgis Bike Week, these are 10 places that you could still ride. They're still really pretty, really great places to go. So plan a trip. You might want to get a pen and paper out and jot these down, or you can re-listen to this archive show on wildrideradio.com. Just find the date that this show aired and listen to it to your heart's content. All right, from J&P Cycles, Joe Peak, 10 places to ride during Sturgis Bike Week. Now, one is Deadwood. I don't know a lot of people who have not gone to Sturgis and then not gone to Deadwood. So typically if you go to Sturgis, you got to go to Deadwood. It's only 20 minutes west of Sturgis, and it's on US 14 ALT. There's a lot to do in Deadwood. Typically, last time I went up there, especially for the 75th, everything, and I mean everything, from the restrooms to the bars to the restaurants to the hotels, all of it was turned into one gigantic T-shirt shop. It was just, we had to walk for 5 or 6 blocks just before I could find a vending machine that sold something to drink because I was so dehydrated. It was just T-shirts. Everywhere was T-shirts. So typically, Deadwood has a lot to do in it. During Sturgis, kind of. It's about the same. I would call it a mini Sturgis. It's really pretty in Deadwood. It's gorgeous up there. It's got a good mountain feel to it, kind of an Old Westy type feel to it. But if you go during Sturgis, don't expect to see a lot of different things to do there. Like I said, it's a mini Sturgis, but if you go before or after, there's a bunch to do in Deadwood. I would say almost more than there is to do in Sturgis. If you go after the rally. Before or after the rally. Number 2 is Bear Butte State Park. This is, if you've never been there before, it's actually a spiritual destination for a lot of people. And the park used to be a holy site for Native Americans. So if you go there, you can kind of feel that as well. There's a one stop on Run for the Wall that's in Angel Fire, New Mexico. And it used to be a healing ground for Native Americans. And you can just feel a peace there that is hard to explain. You can just go up there and relax and take a breath and have your batteries recharged. Your internal batteries is recharged. It's the weirdest thing, but it's there's something to it. So Bear Butte State Park, if anything, you just get away from it all. You get away from the noise and the crowds and everything. It's a good place to recharge your batteries and rest your mind a little bit if you go to Bear Butte State Park. Devil's Tower National Monument, if you've never been there, go. I went once, and it's a lot bigger than the pictures and even the videos and documentaries I've seen about Devil's Tower. I mean, it was America's first national monument, and it's just this gigantic rock sticking up in the middle of nowhere, sticking up out of the ground. And it is really cool to see, and it is a lot bigger than I have ever given it credit for. I mean, I remember when I went up to it, and you're standing at the base of it, and you look up and you see this little tiny speck, and it's a human up there climbing up Devil's Tower. And it's just incredible because when you compare that little tiny speck of a human up there, you can see just how big Devil's Tower National Monument really is. But you want to arrive before 11 or after 4 to avoid parking challenges, especially around Sturgis. If you go any other time, it's not too bad to park your motorcycle anywhere around there. Number 4 is Spearfish Canyon. If you are riding out to Devil's Tower, you can take a slight detour off I-90 through Spearfish Canyon. It twists through a 19-mile gorge with plenty of photo opportunities. A really nice way to go to Devil's Tower if you are go through Spearfish Canyon. Number 5, Badlands National Park. Now, Badlands covers about 100 square miles and offers a really good day of scenic riding. It's also the site of the massacre of the Plains Indians at Wounded Knee Creek, so you can see a couple of memorials set up there if you're into history and you're a history nerd like I am. Badlands State Park is another good, just peaceful ride to get out and away from the crowds of Sturgis. Pactola Lake is number 6, and it is the largest reservoir in the Black Hills. If you want to go there, you can. There's boating, fishing, swimming, a lot of scenic riding, and I even think you can rent boats. Don't hold me to that, but I think you can rent a couple of boats up there at Pactola Lake. You may want to Google it, though, before you go up and there's no boats to be had. Don't blame me. But Pactola Lake is a really nice, peaceful place. I'm a water guy myself. I love the water, love the beach, love the ocean. So if you want a nice respite from Sturgis and hot asphalt all the time, it's a good place to go. Number 7 is Custer State Park. It's also South Dakota's first and largest state park. That's 71,000 acres, and it's got a lot of wild animals, including 1,500 free-roaming bison. But if you go, you got to keep your eyes open for the burros, those donkeys. They actually beg for food because so many people have given them food, and I think a lot of bikers probably brought some food from Sturgis, and Sturgis food is phenomenal. So, of course, the donkeys are going to beg. But watch out for them, though, because they are a road hazard if you go into Custer State Park. Number 8 is Needles Highway, or South Dakota Highway 87. Now, in 1922, Needles Highway was considered impossible to complete because it was over such rugged terrain. It is a National Scenic Byway, and it goes through Custer State Park. It's got a lot of sharp turns, low tunnels, and it is a road that I think was specifically built for motorcycling. So Needles Highway, South Dakota, Highway 87, great ride to take away from Sturgis. Number 9, Iron Mountain Road. That's South Dakota Highway 16A. Now, on one end of Iron Mountain, there's Mount Rushmore, and on the other is Custer State Park. It's 17 miles of 314 curves, 14 switchbacks, 3 pigtails, and 3 tunnels. Now, Tail of the Dragon is 11 miles of, I think 317 curves. So this is 17 miles, a little bit more, but it is very beautiful. And Tail of the Dragon, I think, is heavily commercialized. It wasn't all it was cracked up to be. It was okay, but this Iron Mountain South Dakota Highway 16A has its own beauty to itself. And number 10, the last place to ride during Sturgis Bike Week, at least according to Joe Peak and J&P Cycles, is Mount Rushmore. I am constantly shocked how many people go to Sturgis and have never been to Mount Rushmore. Do it. You owe yourself the trip. Especially if you have any interest in history. If you're a history buff or a history nerd like I am, I just love going and seeing that, seeing how it was constructed way back when, paying homage to our founding fathers. I love history. I love American history. That's partly why I'm conservative in my political affiliations. But Mount Rushmore is a humbling experience if you go. And I do recommend go. Take a half a day out of your time in Sturgis and go to Mount Rushmore. It is worth the time and worth the very, very short drive. And that does it for this Wild Ride Radio. It's already over. Thanks for joining me. I love talking to you each and every week. I can't wait to talk with you next week as well. Like I said, get to our website, wildrideradio.com. Listen to all our archive shows. Also, we are streaming Motorcycle Minutes, which is a daily updated 60-second update on motorcycle and the motorcycle industry, so you can listen to that on wildrideradio.com. I am Dallas Hageman for this Wild Ride Radio. Until we speak next week, riders.